Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is your boy at the Sunset Kid back again for Bumps and Bruises podcast, episode 2. Of course, joined by the gentleman that I can't figure out how it's going to be framed. So we got the Lock Stallion, we got D Risen. It's probably going to be like this when we recorded, like it was last time. But hey, yeah, what's going on, man? How was your week? What was going on with you fellas?
Man, week's pretty good. Been excited to talk about some wrestling. Just ready to get it going, bro.
All right. What about you, Shane? How's it going, sir?
Busy weeks. Lots of wrestling crammed in there. My kid had a birthday, so I was a little AWOL over the weekend, but got to catch up on some things. And man, they got a lot in that weekend.
All right, let's get right to it, guys. So, as we know, this is a podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. We're, I know there's a million of other podcasts, but we like to throw our little spin in. So first things first, hopefully we can always get this pod out around this time. It's either going to be Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. Basically give us a short break for us to catch up and digest everything that's happened. So the first thing that we're going to cover, last week's SmackDown. SmackDown opened up with Randy, having his segment, calling out Kevin Owens. So, guys, do you think we're getting a Kevin Owens, Randy Orton WrestleMania match?
WrestleMania, is it that big?
Or you think it's going to be? Wait, I think Saturday night main event is after Mania, so I think this is going to be a Mania match. I don't think it's going to be a TV only because you got number one, you got arguably one of the biggest MVPs in WWE, which is Kevin Owens, and you got one of the GOATs, Randy Orton. Randy is like at a point that he shows up for that payday, baby. So
this is true. This is true.
Fully agree. This is a Mania match. Like there's no question.
And
probably night one.
I don't know. It's a toss up because you got to see. Like we have all the matches, but we haven't figured out where they're gonna put them. And like some of the matches with the biggest names that we'll talk about a little bit later that probably got revealed on Monday Night Raw, we don't know where that match is going to be. I think this is the season where WWE is like, listen, we're about 40 days out from Mania. We got to solidify this card. And it's like booking of these matches. The seeds have been planted before, but now it's like at the point that it's like, yo, I want you, even though I should be facing you. But I want to face both of y'all. So it is what it is. Let's not read into this. This is wrestling, not like, it's not the Academy Awards. But, we had an interesting segment, a fine television match with Tiffany Time versus Piper Niven. I honestly don't know where they're going with that. I like the fact that they gave Piper Niven a match and the match was decent. And, Tiffany Stratton is right now, I believe this whole match was to get Tiffany on TV, to get Piper on TV, show that they could go, and to have Charlotte Flair come out and just beat the brakes off of her. I think this is the type of booking we need. We gotta, since Flair is going full heel after her comeback and feel bad for me. I was out for 13 months and nobody really cared, and they had to force her hand because she's just a dislikable character, I guess, the way she comes across TV. So they gotta instill the fact that this is going to be the grizzled, top vet. I'm back. Thank you for holding my belt type thing. And I personally don't want a Tiffany Stratton to lose, but it's looking more and more and more likely. What do you guys think?
I hope that it doesn't end that way, because if they take the belt off Tiffy this quickly, I think it reduces her into a long-term mid-card role. And that's something that I don't want to see. I think she is very Charlotte-esque in that she could have that kind of career going forward as long as she stays healthy, she keeps making the right moves. But I definitely don't want to see it end yet. I think there's a lot of potential, and we can keep going with that.
Okay. So what do you guys think about this whole thing about rookie champion, and if a veteran that has come back that doesn't have a belt and they get pushed through, what do they like? What do you like about this? Do you think this is something? Because I feel like this is a wrestling trope at this point. I feel like everybody, it's like, oh, thanks. Like they did this years ago when Cena was a champ and then he was put in the match essentially against DX. You know, they did this with CM Punk, his first title run, where he didn't even make it to his Elimination Chamber. It's kind of like in CM Punk's case, it was a little bit different during that time. I don't think they believed him as a champion, or the company was really behind him. So they were kind of like use him as the weirdest transitional champion, that despite that, he became a successful person. I think Tiffany Stratton, the company's behind her, the way they've been pushing her and positioning her. Do you think a loss in a spotlight like WrestleMania hurts her, or does it hurt the comeback trail for Charlotte?
That loss, I feel like it can go both ways.
Okay.
Because like I said, she's been gone for a while. And Tiffany's new, but at the same time, they could just run it back with best out of 3. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Either way it goes. And to touch on the new champion, the babyface, or not the babyface champion, the new champion coming up, and a veteran champion coming back, or former champion coming back. I feel like that just boosts the eyes on that new champion and showing that they can go, even if they do lose. It's showing that she can hang with one of the best in Charlotte Flair. But that's just my opinion.
What about you, Shan? What do you think?
I mean, exactly what I said before. I think it really kills that momentum. It reduces her. And a lot of times when we see it, it's hard to bounce back. Like the CM Punk story is storied without, that pipe bomb interview. Does he ever get back to the top of the heap? Does he ever get back in the true title picture?
But he did have an amazing program with Taker on SmackDown. I think that did a lot for him, that he stayed on that stratosphere, that the pipe bomb just shot him up and permanently cemented him there. It was during those times where WWE, they don't do that as much now, but back then they used to push people up and then pull them down, and then push people up and pull them down, depending on what the card needed, on who was out, who was injured, who was doing a movie project, so can Charlotte Flair afford this loss? Or does it seem like if she loses, there's cap throughout her entire run now? Like she's building herself, bro, come on. She's not being like, oh, I'm the cocky heel. She's like, I'm the shit. I'm the measuring stick in all of WWE. And then if she comes out and falls flat, doesn't that negate what she does, or does her resume stand for itself?
I mean, when you're already the top of the top out of everyone in the company, that resume is not going to fall with a single loss, be it at Mania, be it to a younger talent. When you've got that resume, you're always going to be able to push through. And I think it does, for Charlotte, she keeps going through. And to what Locke was saying, she could immediately jump back in and just, Saturday Night Main Event right afterwards, Backlash, whatever the case may be. She can come right back, take the title at that point. She can even lose again at that point. It doesn't matter, but she can stay top of the heap. And to your point with CM Punk and Undertaker, there's not a whole lot, if Tiffany were to lose, unless she stays in a program with Charlotte and it continues after Mania, Mania has kind of always been that reset. Those programs don't typically continue after Mania. It's the end of the season, if you will. There's not a whole lot of people that could be that upper echelon when it comes to the women's talent right now. Bayley is taking losses left and right. Maybe if Becky comes back, you can get a program there that would kind of elevate. But all of the big names, Mercedes gone.
It's funny you mentioned Becky. Is there a world where Becky comes out, makes an appearance, and costs Charlotte Flair the title?
Very feasible. Great way to do it too. If you want to keep everybody on that tier, great way to do it. Okay,
that's good. All right, moving right along. After that match, we had what I like. We talked about this off air real quick. This basically Nick Aldis explaining the SmackDown tag team title situation, and I like that he gave us kind of like a telestrated coach thing. He's like, this happened here, that led to this, that has us here, that made us go to here, that is here. I feel like now we're at a point that every single team has a claim, and you could book yourself in either way in a direction. And it's kind of like you could go back and circle around. It's like and this is gonna be a horrible analogy. Like you ever heard of on social media when what's it called? This dude, the comedian,
Charlie Day.
No, the Steven, not Steven, the dude that hosts Family Feud. What's his name?
Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
When he's like, all you need is 5 suits, and then you can mix and match. Yeah, like I think this is the perfect way to show the tag team. Like you can have one of them win, and then you can have them go this way with the feud, and then that feud go that way, and then this way, and then pair it that way, and then go that way, and you can pretty much finish out the year with those teams just going back and forth playing hot potato. And it kind of like I think they're doing something way better with the tag team division on SmackDown because they get a match every week. And you know, I feel like each match moves the story along quite further. Like obviously, if they're gonna do a multi-team match, or they can even do a ladder match like they did last year with those teams, and it makes a lot more sense than you know just tag team matches just to split the belts up. And I think you have a case to give the Street Profits his belt. And it's a lot different than how Raw is, because Raw has been centralizing the tag team belts around the War Raiders and pretty much American Made. And it's like American Made has come off on victories when they did to get the tag team shot, but then they always get shut down. Or like the War Raiders lose a tag team like #1 contenders match or whatever, or like a non-title match, and then you're thinking that the team that they're facing for the belt afterwards is going to beat them, then they don't. It's kind of like a stop and start. Like teams have not interacted. You haven't really seen the War Raiders get jumped by anybody. Whereas like at SmackDown, it's like these teams are in each other's business regardless. They're like, you know, the belts are involved, we're involved too. And like, and you can't even really throw together a tag team because Carlito and Finn wouldn't work, and then Carlito and Dom I don't think would work as a tag. And then it's like the tag team division on Raw has multiple teams, but they have 2 teams, maybe 3, that are not even focused on it. Like LWO literally has enough people to have 2 tag teams, and the New Day is feuding with them. And it's like, bro, like these teams should not be focused on this personal issue. They should be like going after the belts.
And what teams do we have? We War Raiders, American Made.
LWO has 2 teams because they got the mask ones, and then they got, you know, the other 2 guys, and then you got the New Day, and then you got this is yep, and then which have not done anything for the belts. They literally have had more singles title matches in the last 6 months than they've paid attention to the tag belts.
And Alpha Academy, who doesn't actually ever tag team, they're just a group.
Yeah, and then it's like, I don't know. It's like a weird thing. Hopefully they clean it up. I think WrestleMania season, once they start blowing off feuds, I think they start bringing back focus. And I think, and also this has to do with injuries. There's a couple of people that are out. Like, you know, the Judgment Day, like they were a strong tag team, and I think that's why the War Raiders really won, because I think they were supposed to continue that feud back, but oh boy, Big Head, what's his name? Like
JD
got hurt.
Lord
and
Farquaad.
Lord Farquaad. He doesn't have the hair though. But moving right along, I know we went on a long tangent. We had the Bianca Belair Naomi segment, which at first I kind of don't go for the crying, during the promo segment. Mm-hmm. But then, I went to BlurredCon this weekend, and I was honored enough to be a part of a panel that I participated with the people that were there. And like the explanation of what that moment felt, it's kind of like it was a promo between women that have that sisterhood. Mm-hmm. So that's why the emotions played up high. And then, I liked it at first, but I was kind of like weirded out, like, seeing people cry in real life, and me knowing that it's not like something real, and like it makes me, especially on live TV. I don't know why. It's just weird to me. But that promo hit. The one thing that I didn't like is at the end is Jade comes out, blows past Bianca. There's no acknowledgement there, which I know they're saving that for. But then she goes out, and instead of beating Naomi down, she just hits her with her finisher, poses, and leaves. Like, that didn't seem personal. It seemed like she just wanted to get her finisher out there.
Hey, you
Like,
know it was personal because when Bianca was trying to get Naomi to tell the truth, to really tell her, she said Trinity. So she dropped the real name. So
yeah.
you know it was real.
Wait, is that actually her real name?
Yeah.
Like her
Yeah.
or her original wrestling name?
That's her real name.
Real name, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
I don't have
That's
her
cool.
ID or anything, so I can't tell you for 100.
Wait, hold on. Huh? Nope. It checks out. So what did you guys think about this segment?
Exactly what you were saying. The run in, hit one move, pose, I'm out.
It's like no chair. Like, come on, have a concerto. I guess they're giving that a little bit later. Like, you got to do something where like, I believe for the character involvement of Bianca, either this was a blow off, or Bianca's no longer going to be involved for now in this storyline, or they're paying off of it, because she's in a weird position. She has one foot in the Raw title picture, and then she has the other foot in this segment. Do you think she pulls double duty and keeps appearing on both? Because I feel like one is going to cost the other. You know what I mean? Like maybe Naomi comes out, like, because wrestling logic is stupid. She's gonna come out in the middle of her title match at WrestleMania and be like, "I'm so sorry, let me help you," and then she's gonna cause a distraction. It's gonna lead to Jade. Let's say like Jade Naomi is like WrestleMania night 2, which I think is gonna be a WrestleMania match, and then like the title match happens night 1. She's gonna come out and be like, "Let me help you," and then Jade's gonna come out. They're gonna scuffle, and then somehow Bianca's gonna try to separate and get hit, and then she's gonna get the pinfall. Or hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully this is kind of like, hey y'all, I'm focused on this, and she doesn't appear on SmackDown, and then Naomi and Jade can just continue this storyline on their own, and then whether Bianca becomes the champ or she loses and then comes back to SmackDown, they do that. Like, what if you were booking this? What would you guys do?
I was booking this one. I mean, I'd have her pull the double. If she can pull the double, because it's possible. Superstars have done it before. Was it Sasha and Bailey? You know what I'm saying? We're tag team champions. Bailey was SmackDown, and then Sasha got Raw shortly afterwards.
Yeah. But like, don't you feel that her pulling double duty is gonna mess up her title shot?
It depends on which title shots first. If it's the women's titles first, it's in the bag. Like, that's a story from before Io Sky cashed in on her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but so you're telling me that if leading up to Mania, because we've got about 40 days, it's roughly about 5 TV dates.
Mm-hmm.
You think if she goes and participating in both storylines, they're not going to intersect, at least for her, at WrestleMania?
They will, but I don't know. I don't see her losing. Like, she got a WrestleMania streak going.
Okay.
Of her winning at WrestleMania, whether it's for the belt or not for the belt. So
what do you think, Shane? Because it's like, my fear is that if she's participating in both, it's like Cody, when he was involved in the Bloodline, but him having a match, like, remember when him and Jay had a match for the tag team belts, and then when they were defending, they were both pulling double duty on SmackDown and Raw, and then the Bloodline came and interfered in the championship match. Had nothing to do with anything, but because they wanted to further that storyline as well, Jimmy cost Jay and Cody the belts.
So I don't think it needs to be a situation where she has to be at both shows. I think this could be kind of an easy out for her to set up more of a long-term storytelling situation, because I think all of the Jade Naomi situation, I think all of that's going to come back to it's interesting how they do it, because my first thought when it happened was, oh, this is going to be Bianca. Bianca set everything up. I think they could possibly come back to that, but that leaves the interaction of Naomi and Bianca on Friday really kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I think this is more of a way to get her out of that storyline. Like, she's
Okay.
done with it. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to be a part of it. She can't believe this happened. And then she goes out, and then Jade and Naomi have their match, and it's a way to get Jade and Bianca onto Raw to be the tag team there, so they can
Okay.
have a clean exit, go to the flagship show, and they've got their, superpowers over there.
Hopefully this works out well, because this is when you involve multiple people. Sorry, when you involve a person in multiple storylines, it can end up crumbling upon itself. You know what I mean? Like, they were really good with the bloodline, like when it came to like certain individuals, but other people, like, I felt like every opportunity that Sammy had, it came right back to the bloodline. Like, it came back to like him getting his ass beat or them distracting him. Like, it was like with other people, they're like, nah, go ahead, have your title shot. And then, you might win or lose. But then it's like certain people, it was like, man, I can't even do that if y'all not jumping me. Like,
Yeah.
so hopefully this is not a situation. I know in the beginning of the show, or they alluded back to that Drew McIntyre beat down Damian Priest, which I think is going to lead to the WrestleMania match, based on the fact that Damian Priest took out McIntyre, based on the fact of their little Royal Rumble moment when DP eliminated Drew McIntyre. Like, I remember the interneting, talking about like that McIntyre does not want to do this. Do you think that was all for show? Do you think it was like, nah, we're gonna do this, and then McIntyre just played ball? Like, what do you guys think? Are you guys even interested in this match?
I'm not gonna lie.
Damn.
I mean, it does go all the way back to WrestleMania last year.
Yep.
Because, you know what I'm saying? Priest did cash in on him, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm tired of Drew complaining, bro. I'm on my Jimmy, my Big J.
Yeah.
Like, stop crying, bro.
But it's like you got to feel for him, because he has a claim. But it's like every time he has like the whole "I have a claim," there's a complete, fully functional or fully formed storyline around the belt already that he can't shoehorn his way in. Like arguably, he had a chance at Elimination Chamber, but unfortunately, by the end of the night, there's no way in hell. No way in hell.
Hey,
and
the dirt sheet said he was winning Elimination Chamber.
It would have made a logical choice. It would have made a logical choice, and then they would have done something stupid, like Cody would have been like Drew could have easily sell this completely. You could have had, and this is going to sound like really crappy or weird booking, but I think this would have worked. This would have worked. You would have had Drew come out, beat the shit out of Cody, say, hey, Cody, they could have still had the segment that they had at the end of Elimination Chamber, except Drew McIntyre wins, right? And then Cody's distracted by the fact that John Cena turned on him. Like, it could have been like Drew McIntyre could have been like, I see you at WrestleMania type deal. You know what I mean? And then he would have left. Cena would have still there. You would still had the same thing, except without Cena being the winner. And then SmackDown, when he came in, could have had Drew like come out doing like, I see you at WrestleMania. Could have still had Cody not even mention him. And the same promo that he did on SmackDown about John Cena, same promo that he did on Raw. And then when they get to Europe in the next couple weeks, have Drew come out and be like, yo, I'm fed up for this. Like, beat his ass and be like, yo, I don't give a shit what's going on between you and John Cena. Face me tonight. Have John Cena cost Cody the belt. Have Drew go the champion, because you have 3 or 4 weeks to book Drew against somebody else.
Yep.
Have Cena and Cody grudge match, make it a blood feud, and then you could have had something crazy. You could have had Drew McIntyre gloating like, I am the champ going into WrestleMania. Which one of you assholes wants a title shot? have Jimmy Uso come out, and it'll be Big Jim versus Drew, as well as Jay versus Gunther. Have Jimmy lose, like come up short, right? And then, Jay win, and then you still have, like, both of these guys have established themselves as single stars. You do the thing, right?
Yep.
And then at the end of have the Cody Cena blow off, and then Cena goes, Drew, I want you at Saturday night main event. Drew gets his WrestleMania moment, defending the title. Cena takes the belt off of him. After the match, Cody comes back, beats the crap out of Cena, finish out the summer with that program. Drew, gets involved with somebody else, or kind of like have Jimmy, somebody cost Drew like the belt, and Drew would be like, God damn it, I can't just be like,
on everyone.
Like, and basically that would have been a great thing.
So I love that
That
layout.
makes
I think
sense.
that would have been fantastic, but I'm going to disagree with Locke here, and I am here for this match. I think Drew and Damian have both put themselves in a position where, one, they deserve to be on Mania. They need to be there. And I, for one, and I think I said this last show, and I'm not even a McIntyre mark, but I want to see him get a legit title run that's not during the pandemic. I think he's showed the loyalty for it. I think he's worked for it. I think he's a better worker than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got a fantastic look to him. I'd love to see what he could do with a live crowd, either as heel or face.
Think about it: 8-week title run. You can open up the gauntlet with that, and then you number one, you congratulate Jimmy, pay off their program, and it's built in. Jimmy beat him twice, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, oh, I got you, and then Drew, have Drew going and oh, I don't care. And then they just have a brutal match, to beat the crap out of each other, and then you take the burden off of Cody and Cena headlining because it's not for the belt.
Right.
You could put Cody Cena night 2 or night 1 under Jay.
Right. And then you don't get into the situation of, is it possible that we have a Royal Rumble winner not in a main event status?
And then what also does, Cody Cena could be a blood feud, and they could just come co-main event, and guess who's the top of the card? And it doesn't break a streak. Roman, CM Punk, Seth. You know how many birds? How many birds with one stone you kill?
Yep.
CM Punk gets his main event. Tribal Chief doesn't lose the streak. 5 years in a row main eventing WrestleMania. 5 years, bro. That'd be crazy. He could literally but I don't know. I doubt that they're gonna go this route, because I do think Cena Cody is the biggest match on any day that they're on. But without the belt, you can kind of do the co-main event, because I don't think what you're gonna get with Cena and Cody is gonna explode the world, in terms of match. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to put them on last.
Right.
But if it's for the belt, you're definitely putting them on last, because Cena's walking away with the title. So, that's just my 2 cents. And then, you get what I think.
Speaking of walking away with the title, and I'm going to go ahead and jump to it, even though it might be a little bit faster than we were planning to.
Yep.
LA Knight back with the U.S. title after beating Shinsuke.
So that's an interesting result and segment, because now, ever since number one, Shinsuke 2 weeks ago lost his brother, R.I.P. That's why they vetoed the match then. I don't think LA Knight wins that night if they would have kept it.
Right.
I think it would have furthered the program. But then, you get a Shinsuke Nakamura, then now it's being rumored by Wade Keller on Pro Wrestling Torch that his contract is up after Mania. And all of a sudden, the rumors are swirling. Hasn't been confirmed by the usual suspects, Dave Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp. if this is true. They haven't even addressed it. But, you know, if this is the end of his almost 10-year run with the WWE, this is going to suck.
Yes.
And then hopefully he goes to Japan, because I think he's one of those guys. He's at a point right now that I don't think he goes to AEW. Maybe if he wants to stay in Florida, he might. But I think he goes home, or he stays here and just kind of like chills. I think he's one of those guys that every single dollar that he made, he probably spent like 30 cents. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't see him like pulling out of a Ferrari. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the expenses of like a John Cena. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he probably like I believe all the Japanese talent, you know, that all live in Florida probably all travel together.
He's probably spending it all on designer clothing.
Nah, man. Have you seen Japanese designer clothing for men of his stature? It's not that pricey. And he doesn't strike me as a guy that's like wearing Versace, you know, all over and all that stuff.
And that's some of the craziest is that like the top Japanese designers, their price point blow, you know, Gucci, Versace straight out of the water.
But like if you look at him, this guy, everything he posts, he's always in a jiu-jitsu gym or in a beach.
Right.
I don't think he's hopping on like a handmade Japanese board. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. And it's a whole weird thing there. Like, what do you think is happening there? Do you like, I don't know if you guys even saw it. Do you think there's truth to this? Do you think this is just because Wade Keller, you know, I know he either hits or misses on a lot of things, but the last couple times he's been right by a lot of stuff, because else the people would have lit him on fire, like, you know, in the comments and all that stuff. But like I'm a Nakamura mark, because I seen him in New Japan and I seen him in WWE, but I know in WWE his speed slowed down.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him for not getting his title run, because I don't think that was him. I think that was a Vince thing. I think AJ Styles and him could have put on probably one of the top 5 matches in all of WWE of all time.
For sure.
But they decided to do a nut shot, which was weird as hell. Like, those same guys in another company, same movesets, could have put on a phenomenal match, pun intended. And yeah, but yet we got the stinker that we got at that WrestleMania.
Yeah, and if this is the end, and I think there's some credence to it, there's a lot of talk about it right now. If this is the end, I don't know that it's a disappointment, but I think a lot of the purist, a lot of the hardcore are going to say it is a disappointment. But just the fact that we got that man in the ring at all, in a WWE ring, is impressive.
And I think the fact that it becomes an issue now, because I think in the last year or so, people that get released or the contract not renewed, I think it's more like WWE's done with them. Whereas before, the EO Skies of the world and all that stuff that left, it was kind of like budgetary, or like they weren't really doing nothing with them at that point, and then like later down the line. But I think when they let your contract expire, and we're already in the Triple H regime, I think you're kind of like done unless you really reinvent yourself.
Yeah, if you go out there and you burn up everything, and go to any of the competings and become champ and carry the reign there, then I could see a comeback. And especially now, it's going to be interesting going forward to see how many relationships that the WWE creates with independent promotions, because we're seeing more and more of that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the telling tale is what happens going forward with that, in terms of how much people are brought back and how often and at what stature they get to come back as. And
I think he's at a time that I'm not sure he continues wrestling full time, because all his peers, and I don't know how much you know about this, Derek, but like, he's older than Okada. He's younger than I forgot the ace. Remind me his name. He's a New Japan like general
Naito?
now. Not Naito. The face, the John Cena of New Japan.
Oh, if you hadn't have asked me, I would have answered it.
Yeah, like, well, basically the people that he cut his gums with, that he's up there top tier with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like have a leg out. They all have a foot out the door. Like, not that they're like, oh, they're leaving for another company. Like, no, they're like their career, they're like running out of gas. Like, you know what I mean? Tanahashi, yeah. Like Tanahashi can barely walk. Granted, Tanahashi's like 4 or 5 years older than him, but they've wrestled the same styles for the same amount of years. And arguably, I think Nakamura wrestled more hardcore than Naito and Tanahashi. And, you know, it wasn't until he got to the main roster that he slowed down. Because in NXT, I was like, man, this guy's taking bumps like he's in New Japan, like he's still trying to get over. And then people were like, oh, they haven't been doing it. I was like, yo, at the end of the day, this man, like, he's 40 something. He's not trying to take suplexes on the edge of aprons and tables. You know what I mean? Like on a random SmackDown.
The NXT run was fantastic. His initial entrance into the main roster had everything that you want. And then, as we see so often, the momentum, they changed the music for no apparent reason at all. They changed the entrance logo, which rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because it went from like the rising sun Japanese into a yellow, which connotations there. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to make that change, especially when he still had momentum going. And I think that kind of deflated the sales big time.
I still think that in today's WWE, he still has value. And I think if used correctly, even if it's like a mid-card heel or even a change of scenery, bring him to SmackDown. Have him feud with Braun Breaker. Like, I think he could stretch Braun Breaker out. Pause. Like, you know what I mean? Like they could give him, you know, that strong style that I'm sure Braun Breaker has never experienced before, because he doesn't, like, you know, he's WWE only.
Yeah.
But, you know, the one other thing that I thought was rather disappointing was that Braun Strowman and Jacob seem to be linked for the foreseeable future, unless they pivot a different way and they do the full break of Solo and what used to be called the New Bloodline. Like, I think we're on the collision course where we see Braun Breaker and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania.
I think that's a Mania match, possibly a Mania kickoff match from the way that a lot of people are reacting to it. But, I mean, Strowman has been billed, whether you like him or not, he's been the monster for years. And now there's a new monster. This is a way to establish the new monster as the monster slayer on top of being the strongest that there is. You become the strongest kaiju by beating all the other kaiju.
And I think you have you have a path where you could have the Mania match, him dominates, you know, or like Solo messes up and then Jacob still wins, but then beats the crap out of Solo, and then you get a payback match. You know?
And I really think if they go that route, it needs to be Solo is the one that beats down Jacob, because if Jacob just turns and beats up Solo, it's already put him like behind the 8 ball. He's already, you know, down by 15. It's got to be Solo that initiates that. Solo has to have the beat down to reestablish him as the monster that he was established at before all of a sudden Jacob came in and nobody else matters.
Or you think he just reclaims his bloodline? Like, you see the cousins, Tama and Tangaloa. Tangaloa comes back. They kind of turn on Jacob, like he brought us in, not you, Jacob, type deal.
I can see that happening if Solo does attack Jacob, because you're taking down, like he was saying, you're basically taking down that monster that you brought in, and then your other dudes ain't gonna do nothing but follow you, because you know what I'm saying, you just beat up Jacob Fatu, one of the craziest dudes in WWE right now. But you can't forget about Bronson Reed though. I mean, he hurt.
But he's not coming back until summer, dog. And I think
he's hurt. That was his foot.
Like yo, I mentally have a list for Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And like of people that they already teased that you want to see. I definitely want to see Jacob Braun Breaker. I want to see Jacob versus homeboy that you just mentioned.
Bronson Reed.
Yeah, I want to see Jacob versus Otis. I just want to see that dynamic because Otis can go when he's not doing a comedy character.
He gotta be on it.
Like when he did that to old boy from Royal Rumble, like that's the mean streak Otis can have. You saw he wasn't smiling. He just took him and was like, yo, how dare you come into our ring? And it was like, bloop, later. Yeah. Like, I want to see Jacob versus Randy. You know what I mean? Somebody that you're like, oh, this person has never had to deal with somebody bigger than him. Jacob versus Kevin Owens in one-on-one. Like, you know what I mean? Like a proper feud. Like, imagine you have Jacob in the back wearing his shiesty, like giving a promo, and then Kevin Owens in his car, like, yeah, I don't know what's up with dude. Like, well, he's not gonna say like he's like, I don't understand what this guy's deal is. That would probably be the verbiage that he uses.
Smooth switch up.
Yeah. But that kind of like an elbow fire, shouts to her. She joined Chelsea Green's cabinet, which I think is a good move because if you look on the internet, there was a picture with all the cabinet members in Japan from like 5 years ago. So it's kind of like a little callback there. LA Knight, I don't know where they go with that. What do you think they do with LA Knight? Who's facing him? I honestly want Mello, but it looks like Mello and Miz are gonna be probably part of a tag team match at some point. Or like, I don't know. I think they're both just biding time. Like I think Miz makes everything work.
Yeah,
he does.
And so does Mello sort of speak. Yeah, like so does Mello sort of speak now. Like I kind of wanted this to be also a small thing. I think Andrade might be the next opponent for LA Knight.
That makes sense.
And that would make sense to me.
Yeah, because especially now that he's trying to poach, members from Legado de Fantasma, which is ironic because his tag team partner that you pointed out that's not wearing the tattoo anymore. It was Andrade's tag partner way back when, like, and also you have Zelina right there. Yo, right there. Bring him back together. Have that magic again, because arguably he was his best when Zelina was his manager.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
So you can do that. There's a couple of ways to do. Now, all right, moving forward to the weekend, we had AEW Revolution. A couple notes on that is, they had the Costco boys opening up the pre-show.
Boom, baby.
It was a lot. It was a lot of, we had the Rizzler come out dressed as Orange Cassidy. We had Big AJ hit a power bomb, wearing some off-white UNC Air Force Ones. We had Eminem and Johnny Mundo or Johnny World or Johnny TV, whatever you call. Like it was a pretty cool match. You know what I mean? It was cool because you had AJ and you had the surviving member of what's it called? Shit. Of Best Friends. You had Orange Cassidy, and then you had Mark Briscoe. And then they threw in what is it? The girl that just had the title shot in Australia against Mercedes Moné to, be the equalizer for Tyler Valkyrie. And then you had, for some weird reason, in a tie-in promotion with Righteous Gemstone, you had the two dudes from that show, even though literally the pay-per-view's competing with their time slot that evening, promoting the show. Like, people that are watching the pay-per-view, I'm not going to be like, oh, I paid for this? Hold on, let me go watch Righteous Gemstones. And then for some reason they had for some reason they had a slew of celebrities that were famous like 5-6 years ago. Like, ironic, these are people that I would mark out for. Like, I love Leslie Jones. I love the dude Jay, I forgot his last name, that he was on SNL that does all the voices. They had Ken Jeong, the comedian. And then they had the cast of, and that to me was the weirdest situation ever. They had the entire cast of Queen of the Ring.
No, they did not. That's an important
No,
part.
hold on. That's what I'm saying. Except the one person that's legally contracted to AEW.
Well, and they also didn't have the star.
Yeah.
They didn't have Emily Brett Rickard.
Yeah, so it was like weird. And then they had this promo thing that it looks like whoever the producer is that stands behind the camera, you know how the cameraman is holding the camera, there's always somebody shouting something. Like the director went to say something at the end, and they were like, no, go to the next segment.
Well,
like,
after what was said, a lot of people
they
agreed.
didn't cut it immediately after that. They cut it after like what arguably the biggest star that was there that night said was a old girl, not the co-star, not the chick that said something about predetermined. And then you had Camille from Instagram trying to walk that back for everybody. And it's like weird. It's like weird that like you have a contracted talent. And I wholeheartedly believe that if Mercedes Moné was in this movie, they would have played the entire movie during the pay-per-view. But because it was Camille Brickhouse, who I guess is at home sitting out her contract, or they just have nothing for her, or she's being released. It's just a weird situation. It's like arguably I think it's more awkward than the CM Punk thing. Because at least CM Punk, there was a reason. It was just like you know what I mean? Like nobody has come out and said anything. Mercedes has not said in the interview like, "Oh, I love working with Camille." It was just creative or something. Like, it's coming off like either Mercedes did not like Camille, or TK did not like Camille, or Camille said something and got shit list, but it's coming off like, nobody likes her. She's just not on TV. It's like she's the female Wardlow at this point. It's like nobody knows what happens. And yeah, she's just not on TV. And then you're still using the thing that she arguably is in most of. I believe she has more minutes in the movie than she did in her entire in-ring career at AEW.
Well,
which
if
is
the
crazy.
internet is to be believed, TK disliking the female talent would not be surprising. I have no insight.
The female
into
talent that he doesn't personally know,
right?
Because he has his favorites
that he brought in.
Yeah.
But I think we have to touch on the fact that they cut to the actress, and she says, "What I learned most from making this movie is that wrestlers know they're going to win before they win," which has lit the internet wrestling community on fire with hatred, and then now a group of defense popping up.
Yeah, like I think Camille's explanation kind of wasn't that big of a reach, but it was a reach, because if you go back and look up the interviews, she expands on that. I guess she said that because the guy behind the camera was probably like,
wrap it up,
like, come on, we got it. All right, let's go. Like, maybe if they didn't spend so much time focusing on King Jong-un and the guys from Righteous Gemstones, they would have had the 30 more seconds that segment probably needed. But going on, the match of that entire night, I don't give a crap what you were a fan of, was Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Go watch that match. It was very brutal. It was very basic, and it made sense. The other match that was top tier was the cage match between Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. They left everything on the mat that night. They had some scary spots that the guy that has fear of heights, to me, it's like, man, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Because I got real nervous when they were on the top of the cage. And of course, Kenny and his second win in his career. It's not the same, he's not the cleaner, but he's learned how to work his style now. He more sells than he did execute and kill like he used to do before. I think Kinosuke has proved to us time and time again that he's the next Okada, if not better than Okada at a certain point. Okada's match was like, it was expected. Wait, hold on. Did he even have a match?
Yes,
He did. Who did he face?
Okada had his match, and Okada was against Brody King.
Well, you know what? Brody King had a spot, but that was a match that could have been definitely on Wednesday.
Yes.
It didn't.
And for me, that's one of the biggest things. I was a big Okada fan. One of my closest friends was the biggest Okada mark that I've ever met. And we've somehow taken someone that couldn't have a bad match in New Japan and relegated them to absolute kickoff / mid-card status.
He hasn't had bad matches. He hasn't had bad matches, but they exposed him by having him too many behind the scenes scenes.
He also hasn't had any great matches. There has not been a
the Kenny match was that was an Okada level match with Kenny that they had like a couple months ago.
But if we compare that to any of the matches they had in New Japan, it would be the lowest ranked one.
Well, you got to think about that they're different people. Okada's probably at the same level, except he's a little bit older, but Kenny's a completely different person than he was when he was the cleaner. Like he's a step behind. And I'll be remiss if I didn't talk about the main event. I think just fell flat.
Oh, it was terrible.
It wasn't terrible, but it should not have been the top of the card.
It should not have been the title match of the main event, even though it was a title match. I did not. I thought it was bad. I thought it was a D- level match. I thought it was a bad match.
I think if you swap the matches between Hangman and Swerve, between that and the title match, and it would make more sense based on Moxley's character for him to try to jump Swerve after he won and became the #1 contender.
Well, and that delivered to us one of the
greatest
other
lines
issues that I have with AEW. I want to love them because I love wrestling. I want all wrestling to be great. I think having another US-based promotion that other people can go to that can get more work, get more exposure, rather than just having WWE. And growing up, he was the voice that we all heard. He was greatness. But Jim Ross needs to put down the microphone. And if he wants it for his podcast, absolutely. If he wants it to push his barbecue sauce, absolutely. But let's please
I forgot about the barbecue sauce.
Let's please not have it be on live pay-per-views where he can say things like, Swerve is here. This is Swerve's house. He has the lease. He has the will. And he has the mortgage. A will has nothing to do with the house. I think he meant he has the deed to the house. But every time, every pay-per-view, there's another huge fumble like that completely pulls me out.
He's just getting old.
He's an old man that has a stroke. He's a widower. I get it. They should have more built-in protections around his flubs. But at this point, bro, I was done with him when he did New Japan, and literally, it was like you almost thought he was trying to mess up people's names on purpose.
And the most glaringly was a year and a half ago when he proclaimed Moxley as the proud WWE champion as AEW is fading out. At that point, I don't know how you don't go, maybe we need to get another voice in here. But
I don't know, man. I don't understand the carousel of announcers. I feel like they have like a 17-man announce team. It's like, I don't know when Nigel comes in. I don't know when Taz comes in, but it's like it's like right before the bell rings and like joining us now. It's like at least with Don Callis, you know that when one of his clients comes out, he's joining the desk.
Yes.
I don't understand anything else. Like it's just a lot to process.
Give me Don Callis. Give me Golden Boy over Jim Ross. I will take anything.
Like I don't know, man. Like it is what it is. You know, they put on a hell of a show. Could have been tightened up certain points of it. I think it
one
was
of
also
the best 3-match runs of any pay-per-view in the last couple of years. When we went, Tony Storm, Ospreay, Fletcher into
actually arguably 3 or 4. It was the Kenny Kenoche, I'm sorry,
and Kenny Takeshita is in that
Takeshita,
lineup. So
and
we got Tony
then the
Storm, Kenny
Swerve,
Takeshita, and then into Ospreay and Fletcher. And Swerve Hangman was solid.
It just it was,
excuse me, Swerve Ricochet was solid.
Was solid except certain things. And I said earlier, Hangman and Swerve. It's just I think that's where they're gonna lead. That's gonna be their all-in main event, I think.
Yeah, and Hangman MJF was another solid. Like they put that was another one that could have been top of the card. Like you have MJF come back huge and he's gonna do all of this. He's the face of the company along with Kenny. And then they're just a middle of the road, mid-card match. And one thing to take away from that match, that angel wing where MJF landed directly on his face was there's always one that.
You got to give it to them because they're younger guys.
Yeah.
Like the combined amount of wrestling that they've done together is probably pale into comparison of everybody, of a lot of the veteran. Like think about the combined years of wrestling in the main event versus those two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Moxley has been wrestling since he was like 17 and he's got to be at least 36, almost 40, something. Like, you know what I mean? Or MJF, although MJF is probably like 31 or 30, maybe even younger, he's only been wrestling since he was like 24 or something like that. You got to think about it. Like one of his first TV matches outside of MLW was on Joey Janela's Spring Break, where he played the same heel except he was a chicken shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then you got to think about it. The entire run that Hangman has had, he went from ROH, I believe, graduate of their wrestling school or from like the indies to being on ROH daily, and then the Young Bucks plucking them to be, on the Bullet Club. So it's kind of rise is like we're seeing him grow before us. Like I think these guys are all going to be solid and they're solid now, but some matches, you got to think about it. They probably packed in a lot of more moves than they needed to. Like you saw it even with Swerve and Ricochet when who was it? I believe Ricochet jumped out and Swerve like had to take a second to catch him before he did the Death Valley Driver, because like I don't know what happened. Either Swerve was like sweaty or something. Not Swerve, Ricochet, because he almost overshot. And when he was doing it, like if Ricochet didn't duck, he would have been like broken his neck.
Yeah.
Like if he didn't like tuck in like completely, that would have been a hard stop of that match. But that was Sunday. Yesterday was Monday, and we're gonna quickly try to cover Raw yesterday. So Raw yesterday, of course, opened with something that you felt was useless, which was the Cody segment. Explain that to me.
So Cody didn't open it up. Cody was towards the end. We opened. We got Jey Uso and Grayson Waller, which
I think hit. Jey Uso now, I think he's on his Cena run.
Yeah,
and I say that because now he has T-shirts that are customized to every city based on their team. He was wearing Nick colors yesterday. He came out, and I think for the New York crowd that worked. When he comes out into the crowd, and I think he's growing as an entertainer because now he doesn't seem awkward when he's talking to kids on the way down. Like, now they're like, yo, he doesn't need a celebrity. He could just interact with the fans on the fly. And I like that he's sticking to kids because you never know what an adult will scream out while the camera's like literally like less than a foot away from you. Mm-hmm. It'd be like put it in her mouth or something stupid. Or like I get it, like all in her. Like, you know what I mean? I like that it's little kids, and I like that he's patient. Because he could have been like the first kid was so starstruck, and if you go back and watch it, it was so funny. He was like, come on, yeah. And the kid was like, okay, like, and I like it. that's how you get it in and out. What I didn't like is that Gunther got over on him.
Yeah.
I think it should have been a situation where, but it also made sense because he had to just like fight off two dudes and had a match. But it should have been a situation because the previous day or the previous week, he had a whole promo. He was like, "You ain't gonna catch me slipping again, Oos. One time you woke me up." Apparently, he put you back to sleep. So,
which it kind of makes sense. He's in a situation where he's taking on the heel tag team. He's going 2-on-1 versus them, and then they wear him down to the point that now Gunther can sneak back in, and that gives Gunther more fuel to the fire to be able to say, "Oh, I thought I wasn't going to catch you again." So then the next time Gunther comes in, he can actually turn and say, "I told you I'm learning."
Yeah, which I like. And then after that, what do we get? Tell us, run down the card again for us.
So then we get a little AJ Styles, Logan Paul kind of pushing that further in. Logan Paul, the most heat, very much pushing Dominic for the automatic heat generation.
I still don't understand why.
I mean,
they don't like him. Like, yo, I get it. If this was 7-8 years ago, right after the Japan thing, I get it. But now
there's been a lot since the Japan thing that makes.
But now
it makes you question what kind of person he is outside of the ring.
I understand more, like if you're talking about political affiliations and stuff like that.
Well, and also
this is wrestling now. At this point, everybody in the locker room, they're all like high-fiving over the administration right now.
Well,
at
there's
least
also
most of them.
The alleged, because I don't think it's been finalized, the alleged Ponzi scheme cryptocurrency that was targeted at children.
Okay.
And he took like $20 million from people that said everyone is getting their money back. No one is getting their money back, and there's charges and lawsuits and everything.
I got to do my homework on that because I honestly have not seen that. So
yeah, that's a
like I've heard about it, but I haven't really like focused my attention on it, and that makes sense. But I'm like at a certain point, and didn't that just come out recently, like in the last couple months?
No, this is going back a couple of years, so it's actually starting to kind of fade out of the stratosphere. And,
okay,
but it was big. They released a whole game that you were gonna Pokemon-esque style trainer game, and that as you raised your little animals, creatures, whatever they were, you would generate cryptocurrency that would generate you real world value. And you had to buy in significantly for no return. I don't think there was anyone that got return at all on investment. And there were recorded calls of him going, "Oh yeah, we know this is a scam."
That's crazy. Like it makes you wonder, where do these calls get recorded? Like who's throwing this man out there? Like you know what I mean?
I guess it's one of those those CYA and everybody grabbing for that buck and going, I'll just record this in case there's something juicy that comes out.
Yeah.
I'm either too nice or too dumb to have never taken that stance with anyone.
Because to me, without knowing that, I just think people just hate his success. Like I can see
there's a lot of that too.
I can see where you hate his brother, because his brother, for those who are boxing purists, has turned that entire sport upside down. And then for me, who's like a casual boxing fan, I'm loving what his brother is doing, because his brother is showing on a bigger scale what boxing has been doing for years. He's cherry picking his opponents.
Yep.
Like, I don't care if you were a Mike Tyson fan. I don't care if you're a Floyd Mayweather fan. I don't care if you're a Tank fan. Boxing has been doing that. They never fight the toughest opponents. They fight what makes the most money, and where the promoter, whoever has the power dynamic at that point, which is usually the bigger star, where they stack the deck that his skills line up for it to be tough. But like at the end of the day, the promoter's like, "Oh yeah, my guy got it." Like, you know what I mean? Or if he doesn't, it's not going to be like a out the box ass whipping that you can't get a rematch.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like it'll be controversial. And it's
And
like,
to give the credit where it's due, both of the Paul brothers have done so much to bring awareness to fighter pay and how much fighters were actually making before he started promoting the way that he's begun promoting. That is huge. Be it any combat sport, he's making people kind of wake up and take notice that, you know, these people that the purse gets recorded and it's $100 million fight, and then you find out that, you know, one guy walked out with 50 million and the other guy walked out with 50,000. And
and it's like the Paul brothers, you know, I'm not caving for them, but they're a hustling ass duo. And the fact that they did that to the point that they cut out their dad. Their dad is a piece of shit.
Sometimes literally hustling.
Yeah, like their dad is a piece of shit. Like, I don't know if you seen their documentary when they're talking about it. Like, their dad is around, but that dude is like on the outside. Like, that's for the camera. And they've come out and said it all the time. Like the dad stole from them when they were millionaires, they were kids. Like, this whole reason that we're getting these guys now so heavy into combat sports and everything is because their dad robbed them blind.
He took all the money.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if their dad would have not touched their Disney and YouTube money, both guys would have just been like social media guys that you just hear about and, you know, living their lifestyle somewhere else and chilling. But no, but because they were like, holy shit, we can't become engineers. Like, you know, like I can't work. I can't own a car wash. I'm going to go ahead and do this other thing.
Well, let's get back to. I'll go ahead and give it the second.
I'll go ahead. This is your guys' segment. You guys are huge New Day guys. So talk about it, guys. I felt like I'm dominating the conversation. I'm gonna just keep quiet and let you guys talk about this segment.
I will give it the caveat. I'm going to give it the second most important thing of the show, and that was the New Day versus the LWO. Rey Mysterio coming back to even the odds against the New Day to get his retribution, if you will, and very close to happening.
Almost.
If there wasn't a masked assailant that we still don't know who it was for sure. Someone jumped in from the crowd. Chad Gable claims it was a fan, and he can't believe that security allowed a fan to jump in. And
to his credit, when he's being accused, all of a sudden, he turns over.
He gets dragged out. Yeah.
Like, so what do you think? I think the New Day look great, but Derek Lock Stallion, come on, man. I'm gonna let you guys talk. I'm gonna just be quiet. Go ahead.
It's the New Day, man. So you know that's probably one of the best matches of the night for me. Okay. But no, like they were taking their L, you know what I'm saying? Most of the match definitely was looking like LWO was gonna take it. So that distraction, or it wasn't even a distraction, he just came out and blasted Rey Mysterio for the win. That was great. They came out in uniform.
Again, we don't know who that was.
Yes, I said he.
A luchador.
A luchador.
A luchador came in. It did have American luchador made on the mask.
And he said, gracias, or something like that. Thank you, which is funny. That segment killed. I think it was good. But go ahead.
For sure. If it happens to be Chad Gable, I think that's fantastic. I was kind of hoping that they were going to go kind of the Lucha Underground path where he actually came back with something, and maybe that something is going to be the mask. Very much in the way to Lucha Underground. Brian Cage had to get the gauntlet to be able to take down the luchadors. They were all beating him before he was able to get the gauntlet and understand the power. To go back to the very telenovela version when we had Lucha Underground.
Yep.
But getting to see the New Day get a W. I think we talked earlier about everything that's going on, what tag teams are where. There's a huge problem, in my opinion, with not only just not having enough tag teams on Raw, everybody's a heel. You have War Raiders and LWO, I think, is the only face tag teams on Raw, and everybody else is a heel. Which I love New Day as heels. I love New Day no matter what happens, but I think we need to get them the title. We need to elevate someone as some babyface competitors, but New Day needs to have the title because they know what to do with it. They know how to work with it. They know how to make people want to watch.
My hot take on 311 is gonna be Lucha Bros versus the New Day WrestleMania for the belts.
I am 1000% here for it. If we can
definitely
get Phoenix in there, we can have Lucha Bros.
I think you might get them in the next week or so.
And
I
at
honestly
that
think
point,
so.
if the New Day doesn't win, I'm still okay with it. Get them on WrestleMania. I need them there.
What are you talking about? Like I 100% am behind. Number one, the New Day would have to beat the War Raiders, and number two, you got to give the Lucha Bros.
And this goes back to reinforcing what I was saying with Tiffy. If you bring Rey Fenix in, and they could very, very easily have Penta set up a situation where he has a mystery partner because they beat up Rey too much. They beat up all the LWO. Nobody can compete. Penta comes in to make the save.
But what do you think?
They beat up Rey, and now Penta has a mystery opponent at Mania, and Rey Fenix, and another amazing debut. Lucha Bros go over there.
But what do you think happens?
Take a lot away from the New Day, and it would immediately catapult.
I think this automatically hurts the LWO, because the LWO have two Latin wrestlers, at least character wise. We have Joaquin and who's the other? I keep forgetting the other dude's name. But and then you have Ray and Dragon Lee.
Yeah.
So it's like you're gonna swap in two better masked lucha, or it's like it'd be kind of weird if the Lucha Brothers is like, nah, bro, Simone, we with ourselves, bro. Like we don't need nobody. We ain't got to be LWO. But then it's kind of like I want to see Andrade and the Lucha Bros. Give them rough shot baby faces. Like give Andrade the US belt or the IC belt. Have like a Latin group that's not out there dancing salsa. Like be a legit group. Like, you know what I mean? I love the LWO, but I think this was to position Dom to a point that they had another group to feud with the Judgment Day. Yeah. But I think it's hanging on now for Dom to inherit it before Ray leaves. I think that's where we're ultimately going. What do you guys think?
For Dom to take over LWO?
Yeah, as a face. I think that is in Rey Mysterio's the last sentence in his book. Am I right or am I wrong here, Shane?
I can't see it currently because going back to what we were just talking about, the only person that consistently generates more heat than Logan Paul, possibly New Day with the turn, and that's already kind of fading a little bit just because creatively they haven't done anything else with them right now. Mm-hmm. But Dom has been the biggest heat generation for the past year, if not more. He is automatic heat.
Those are the guys that are easily that you could easily turn.
I agree. And I just said we need some more face on Raw. Right now, Raw is very, very heel heavy.
Yep.
We need to see. We're getting into a situation where we're seeing the faces booked as this is the face. They have everything on their shoulders. They're going against everybody, but it means that everyone else is a heel.
Yeah.
Or they're like a CM Punk tweener type situation. And
so when the New Day, not the New Day, excuse me, when the Judgment Day implodes, so Finn is automatically going to be the face.
I think Finn is going to be the face. One of the big takeaways that I have for it, and I've seen this in the internet wrestling community being mentioned as well. I've seen it every segment for I think the last 3 weeks. Every single time that Finn is there, right behind him
is that demon
face.
Mm-hmm.
I think when Judgment Day implodes, we're going to see Finn come back as the demon, and I think it possibly is going to happen for WrestleMania. Finn comes back, the demon is back. Merch flies off the shelves. He's adored once again.
Okay. All right. So, that leads to the last segment that we should probably talk about, which is a cage match in which two beloved superstars, like, I don't think there's a heel and a face here. I just think fans just like seeing these guys beat the crap out of each other. And like, I'm all for Intense Seth. Intense Seth gave us probably one of the best champion runs ever when he like the same year that NXT gave us the Bailey Mercedes match. That summer was Seth's summer. Not only did he beat John Cena, became double champ, he had that amazing backstage moment with New Day when they were like, play my song, and they were like, he started like doing the trumpet with them. It like when Seth gets serious, he lets the ring do the talking, and yesterday was no exception. Like, I know he's way better on the mic now, but Seth, he's one of those guys that, like, when he turns heel, he's not a chicken shit heel. He can play it, but when that bell rings, boy, there'll be a lot of people that are not as great as him. And I'm just happy that CM Punk was able to like keep up with him last night.
Yeah.
Right. What did you guys think of the main event? I rewatched it after it aired, and I was like, this is a good, solid match. And finally, after what seemed like 6-7 years, Roman Reigns comes in without music. And the visual, I don't know if the ref told Seth, but when he got pulled out, he was like, oh shit.
Fantastic reaction by Seth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the character work afterwards when Paul went in to check on CM Punk, and then he's like that smile to himself was like, I know this motherfucker did not just go in there. So he was like,
Roman's reaction there.
And then he doesn't even get mad at Paul. I think he was just mad at CM Punk, which I think they did that perfectly, because if he would have gone in there and just started arguing with Paul Heyman, people would have been like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, you know what I mean? Then they would have backed himself into a corner where you got to turn Paul heel.
Right. And leaving Paul out for now and just having it be, his two guys, I think is the great way to do it.
Yeah.
You leave that build, you leave that choice of who he has to go with, which is probably going to be at Mania. He has to make the choice. And is it because CM Punk cashes in the favor? And you have so much story there that you can still develop. You're not running out of steam. You can still pull that thread for a long time.
Yep. And I like the fact that Roman is still proving that he could have a story that does not involve the title. I don't know if you guys noticed, like, it's either bloodline or the title. This has nothing to do with either.
Yep.
This goes back to like years, and like, kudos to the WWE. They always booked where Roman does not mess with Seth. On Seth's side, Seth has always been like, hey, I'm cool with you. Like, even when they did the mini reunion, it was Roman, the one that was like, I don't know about this. And then he kind of like, when they did everything and then they broke up for the last time, that it wasn't really a breakup. It was kind of like, hey guys, I think we're done. And it was more because who was it that got hurt? Was it Roman?
Roman was sick, right?
Yeah. I think
that was.
I think it was like back. It was kind of like they killed the angle there. Like, but Roman was always the one, besides John or Dean, whoever, John Moxley, Dean Ambrose. Like, they had the more compelling thing. But like, Roman has always been like, nah. Like, even when he was heel, he didn't like Seth, and like, now it makes sense. It's like bro, like you killed us. Like, they could have him cut promos, like, which they have already. He's like, yo, we were supposed to be a brotherhood. Like, because of you, one of our brothers is not even here anymore. Like, they could pin that whole thing, John Moxley leaving on Seth, and then Seth he could cut it in a heel way. He doesn't have to be heel. He was like, both of y'all couldn't cut it. Like, what do you want me to do? To pass up an opportunity to be the man? It's like this is like CM Punk, going back to what CM Punk says. It's like, you can either make money or have friends.
Yeah.
You can't have both. And I think
they set everything up well. It gives us everything we want. We talked last week about how are we going to get to that triple threat. This is how.
They
Roman
moved it out.
easily answered all of the questions that we might have had. Creatively, I couldn't have done it better than what they did, and it's why they do what they do.
And I think it's going to simmer for 2 weeks because CM Punk, storyline wise, is saying that he's not going to go on the European tour. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like a date thing or he doesn't like traveling that far. Who knows? Like, it's not like they're going to Saudi.
I was like, he had the kids though.
I don't know, man. CM Punk is at a point that I think he knows himself enough to be like, listen, that's it. So basically, this is our week in wrestling, guys. This has been an amazing episode 2 of Bump and Bruises. This is Marcos at the Sunset Kid. You can find me on all socials at the Sunset Kid. Shane, where can they find you?
At Drizzen13 on X and at Drizzen on Instagram.
Derek, aka at Lock Stallion, where can they find you, sir?
At Lock Stallion on Instagram. Don't forget to watch the YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yep, and hope we're gonna get this episode out there. I think next week we'll probably cover, the same shows again, with the inclusion of what I think is going to be probably one of the most low-key excellent cards of the week, which is NXT tonight, emanating from Madison Square Garden. It's going to be from the theater, but I think it's going to be good. I do have big high hopes for that. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Peace.